it was just like it was the first time with respect to my my respect for her leadership. You know, she's a pioneer. She's a you know, a feminist. She's an activist. She's a visionary. She respects the craft. She's sensitive. She's thoughtful. She's compassionate. She's an incredible writer. And I think she went through 55 drafts of this project. And it just speaks to her understanding of her responsibility as a filmmaker to project truth and authenticity, and it makes it really easy to say yes to her. You know, I always tell her when she has a project, let me know, whatever it is, I'm in. And that's kind of how this thing started. You know, she gave me a call. She called me up and told me she had this project she was working on, asked me to come in and work with Gooo for a studio, and I did it. And you know, with nothing attached, saying, you know, I'm just doing it for you. And then she came back and said, I want you to be in the film. I said, that's easy, yes. Introduced me to a retired LAPD guy who was just incredible. He taught me the ins and outs, to handcuffing people, to looking into the car to make sure there's no, you know, paraphernalia, to the way you know, the way you stand, the way you address people, the way you address citizens. You know, protocol for pulling your gun, how to pull it. She really put me in a situation where I could move and operate as a cop and do it with confidence. What else? One of the things she told me is that I'd have my shirt off a couple times, so do a couple sit-ups. So I took heed, and you know, she made sure I was prepared. But that's who she is. She wants to make sure you have all the tools you need to do the job you want to do. Drew inspiration from, you know, so many people. I mean, there were elements of, you know, Malcolm Gladwell. You know, if you looked at his book wall, you know, one of the things I want people to go back when you watch it a second time, pay attention to the books on the wall, because it was very, you know, it was intentional. The books we pulled. You know, Game Changers is one of the books. You know, there's you know, Skip Gates, someone that's, you know, it's been influential in our community, and you know, Roland Martin, who's in the film, someone I pulled from. I think that it's there's so many men of integrity, specifically men of color, that embody a lot of the elements that Kaz represents. And then Kaz makes me want to be a better man. You know, a lot of people say, is it you? I'm like, no, it's not me. I strive to be more like him in my everyday, but that's my hope for anyone that sees this film, you know, that they see in him an idea of what a man can be if he's diligent. I remember when Gina called me and told me Danny was involved, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I finally get to work with them. You know, you have your list of people that you knew from their work before you ever was an artist. You know, before you ever were an artist, and you say to yourself, I would love to work with that person. So when he walked into the room, you know, I was hoping that he was the man I'd always hoped he would be, and he was, and more. He was prepared in a way that you could never imagine. He had ideas of our relationship. And we left the conversation with him calling me, you know, son, and me calling him pop. You know, it's a relationship that stands to this day. At the script, I realized that this was about, you know, two people who, you know, wanted to love, but they couldn't love, you know, each other until they loved themselves. Couldn't love themselves until they knew themselves. So, and it's something that we deal with, you know, in our adolescence, moving into adulthood. I know it was something I dealt with. So, seeing this film, you know, I want people to take away, you know, number one, you have to, you know, find your voice, find out who you are, really examine, investigate who you are as a person, and then you can go out into the world and shed love and receive love. On top of Gooo being gorgeous, she's extremely talented, and her work ethic is second to none. It's going to be very fun to see where her career goes, because she has all the elements, not just of a star, but someone who is attempting to master their craft. So it was a huge blessing, and you know, just looking into her eyes and speaking truth, I never felt like I was on an island. She was always giving it back. So, you know, I feel like Gina always says like 75% of filmmaking is casting, and I felt like she got that part right. This film will appeal to today's society because it has so many elements of now. You know, it deals with music, it deals with the hypersexualization of women, it deals with misogyny, it deals with you know, our interpretation of the police, and if their goals are pure with respect to protecting and serving. And Kaz is a police that has integrity. He wants to do what is right. He wants to improve humanity. There's so many obstacles that people can identify with, and they're all sewn up in a way that takes work. Nothing's just wrapped up in a package. These obstacles have to be climbed and conquered for us to get to the root of love. Message to anyone that watches this film, specifically young people that are trying to find their way, is you can't love anyone unless you love yourself. You can't love yourself unless you know yourself. I think identity should be the root endeavor in our lives. Like who are we? Because when you find out who you really are, then you can really examine your the mark you want to leave on the world. Legacy it can be cliche, but I think it's an important realization as you move into for me, manhood, or for a woman, womanhood, the mark you want to leave on the world, so your children can see, and your children's children can see. Because as filmmakers, once we make it, it exists forever.